This is Justin with Shoots.video here today to do another Crew Talk webcast. So super happy to have a big group here. We got Daniel Marlowe, Sonia Jankar, Richard DePasso, Tori Tayanaka.
That's it.
Close enough. There you go.
Yeah.
And Anita Castellina. And I am Justin McAleese, like I said. And we're ready to talk a little bit about production companies. And we're really talking about like how you get hired, you know, going out to the people who are looking for a job, who want to be a part of this business, who would like to get hired, who would like to know how those things work, who haven't really been around it that much, but want to understand. So, sorry about that. And yeah, so let's just get right into it. If you guys could go real quickly and just, you know, sort of describe what you do and where you work, then we can go from there.
Who are you starting with?
Yeah, let's start with, sorry, I got kicked off here. Let's start with Daniel, if you can.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Daniel. I'm our Chief Creative Officer here at Lemon Light. We specialize in making branded content for various brands. We have a team of about 50 full-time employees right now, a little less with the pandemic. And yeah, just specialize in making lots of different branded content from all kinds of various brands.
Yeah, good. And Sonia?
Hi, everyone. My name is Tanya. I am the head of production at Luminous Studios. We are also a branded video production company. We have an office in New York and in LA. And as Daniel mentioned, we do a bunch of commercials, crowdfunding videos, marketing videos, what have you. We consider ourselves a one-stop shop for video. So yeah, that's a quick brief.
That's great. Thank you. Richard?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Richard DePasso from Aardvark Video in Las Vegas. We've been in business a very long time, first in New York and in 2002, since then in Las Vegas. And we're a B2B video production company, and that's all aspects of what a business is looking for. Commercials, marketing, sales, training. And out here, because the nature of the market, what we've done primarily for several years is primarily trade show work. And as everybody knows, there isn't too much of that going on out here right now.
Yeah, a little slow for a lot of us in a lot of different ways, especially if you're doing live shoots, concerts, and any type of trade show like that, or anything with music or sports or any of that. Those are rough times right now. So I have some friends that do that, and yeah, they're definitely looking for ways to get some other streams of income.
Well, yeah. What we've done is we've gravitated to producing virtual events also. Okay. Because there's no doubt that that's the direction. Well, that's where we are right now. Yeah,
exactly. And it's kind of crazy too. What's not available to buy? Like a lot of the hardware to get into that stuff is very much in demand right now and sort of hard to get a hold of. So yeah, I think if you already had some of that stuff to go into these times, you're a little bit better off. Tori.
Yeah, I'm Tori Tayanaka. I run Spark House. We're in Orange County, California. We do what we call strategic brand videos. So really it's video production and animations, but with a focus on the strategy side. So we partner with a lot of different advertising agencies to run full campaigns, whether it be like Facebook ad campaigns or integrations into apps, integrations into websites and things like that. So it's kind of same as everyone else. We claim we can do anything video. And we've actually worked with Lemon Light in the past. I know Chad over there. And so we've, our team is based in Orange County, like I said. So when we need stuff out of the state or in different areas, we definitely tap into those different networks and work with you guys.
Yeah, totally. I mean, there's probably other connections here that are just, one or two levels deep that we don't even know that we have. I mean, it's a very small industry when you really get down to it. That's great. Anita.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Anita Castellina, and I am the owner and CEO of Beyond Pix Studios. Beyond Pix SF is what we call ourselves now. The company is 27 years old now, maybe even a little bit older, and I bought it a year and a couple months ago. And we have, it's a small company, but with a really long history of production. But what we have that's unique is we have 2 side-by-side broadcast studios. And if you watch the national or international news and you see somebody with the Golden Gate Bridge behind them, they are up here in our studio. So
Yeah.
That's why I bought the company, because I was a client here for a long time, and the company was going under. They were having a hard time. And I thought, you know what, this is such this amazing stream. You just sit and wait for calls from the networks. Well, as you know, just like Richard has said, now that everything has changed, the world is sort of upside down. People aren't that much coming into the broadcast studio anymore. But luckily, what I also have downstairs is a soundstage that I completely remodeled, and I fitted for live streaming with robotic cameras and a vMix system. And
Wow.
we did that in anticipation of, hey, this is an upcoming market, not knowing that, boy, we're going to really need this. So there's very little on the broadcast studio, although Nancy Pelosi's coming in next week again. So I still get to hobnob with some of these, the luminaries. But yeah, it's been really good that we were positioned, like you were saying, Justin. We positioned ourselves in advance, because you're right, everything is back ordered right now. If you want to buy any of the hardware, you want to get things. We're building a second vMix system, and we've been putting things together. But so we have, I think, and we have a production band. We do all kinds of. We've done commercials. We've done a lot of live shows. Live streams, big clients for many years. That's what 27 years will get you. You get a lot of clients. But now, in this changing market, we're having to really navigate where's the market going, what's happening, and like you're saying, with a lot of these canceled conferences and things like that, one person can sit on the soundstage and talk to their constituents. So
yeah. It's that's one of those things in our industry, and in most industries probably, but it's like when you need the thing, you already have to have it either sitting in the truck or sitting back at the studio, or you need to have those for people, specifically for crew members. You need to have them ready. You need to know who they are, know that they're good, know that they're going to be a few people deep, so that if they're busy, you can call the next person in line. And so that's really what we're talking about today, is like, how do you guys find your employees? How do you find freelancers and those types of things? Daniel, let's start with you. How do you get approached by people, and how do you hire the full-time people, or how do they do it at Lemon Light, at least?
Sure. As far as just the full-time roles, we typically here, we hire everyone from sales, marketing, to pre-production and post-production. We typically hire full-time when we hit our bandwidth within that department. So, really when the kind of demand is there to build out each department with, more people, that's just typically when we start that.
Sure. And what are you looking for? Like, what's some of the most important things you could do? You could find in someone like that.
Yeah, I mean, we're always looking for talented people, I think, just first and foremost. And then through our interviewing process, we do focus on just getting to know the individual, focusing on their skill set, and making sure that they understand what we're asking of them. And I think, with our full-time team, we're always looking to just bring additional like-minded, talented people together that ultimately create the foundation for just what is a really great team.
Yeah, gotcha. A lot of it's probably fit too, more than like, it's one thing to find someone who seems really great, but maybe they're not the right fit for one reason or another, what you're doing. Do any of you guys find that to be true? Yeah, Richard.
Yeah, we scale up to whatever a project requires. And out here, some of the projects have been between 20 and 30 people.
Yeah.
Or they could be smaller. We can just send 1 or 2 people out on a job. And people approach us quite frequently in good times looking for work, and we'll never really take anybody at their face value over the phone. We ask them to come in here, and two of the things that we look for right away is that they get here on time and that they're presentable. And if they're neither of those, well, they've got 2.5 strikes against them already, because that's not going to go very well when we put them in a situation with clients. And then what we'll do is we'll run them through what I guess you would call tests, sort of an audition process. And we'll ask them what equipment they're familiar with. And again, rather than taking that at face value, we've got enough different types of equipment that we can just pull one out the same or similar to what they're talking about and ask them questions about it, let them start operating it. And you'd be surprised how many people think they know video theory, video concept and operation, but they really don't. They don't understand exposure. They don't know how to use a zebra. They don't know degree kelvins, and we kind of find out what they do know.
Yeah, I definitely do a little bit of that. I do a little bit of quizzing. Yeah, I have my little things. I just say, what's 4 stops brighter than F2 or whatever, or darker than F2, and I'll sort of see what they have to say, because there's some really easy questions they'll ask that when you get the answer, you're like, oh, it's 8. That's simple. But for when they're thinking about it and stuff like that. So there's some shorthand within trying to find people to be able to see just where they're at. I think that's important. Anita, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I started laughing when you were talking about presentable and that kind of thing, or punctual, because there was a guy that I would really want. I thought I needed some engineering support. So I'm a little bit different maybe than some of these bigger companies, because we're a pretty small company, and we try to stay really mobile and get projects that we can do in-house for the most part. And I wanted to hire some engineering support. Somebody came really highly recommended, but he was late 3 times in a row.
Wow.
And that was and just didn't have. What matters to me also is people who can be relational, meaning they look at you, they talk to you, they're not just looking at the gear. Because if you feel like you have the confidence to send somebody out in the field without you, or without somebody who's a senior partner, you need to know that they can handle themselves with all kinds of people, and I think that's really important. So it's a lot of. There's somebody now who's come in secondarily to that first guy that we had coming in, and he is doing so well. We are now currently migrating from this great big machine room that's down 1 floor from us, but because technology has changed, we're able to really consolidate. Everything's going to go into a few racks in the back of our broadcast control room, and he's helping design it. He's really calm and patient. He's on time. So anyway, it's those kinds of characteristics, and
yeah, it really comes down to the total package, and that's what you're searching for, and that sometimes feels like a needle in a haystack sort of search. Sonia, where do you guys go to find people? If you're looking for someone in, say, a certain city that you guys don't usually operate in, you're trying to find someone there, or just some of the people that you're used to working with are no longer available for that sort of thing. How do you find people? What online stuff especially?
Sure. So usually, actually, we end up hiring most of the people we work with based on recommendations.
Okay.
Either recommendations from crew members who are senior within the same department, or and other producers who have worked with similar crew members. We hire a lot of freelancers almost on a regular basis, whether it's a DP or it's an editor or anything in between, really. As Richard was saying, kind of scale up as needed a little bit. What I think, few ways that people have reached out to us that actually does work out is that we have a contact us page on our website, and we've had a lot of crew members reach out to us. But it's interesting when an editor reaches out and doesn't share their link right up front, and that's like a red flag, because wouldn't you want to show off your work? So we kind of look for things of that nature as well. I think a lot of what we depend on is making sure that the crew we work on for, say, once on a shoot, we want to make sure that we really assess how reliable they are. And if they are reliable and we can rely on them beyond that, I think it makes producers' job really easy, because then that's one less thing to worry about. So I feel like people who can demonstrate that on set, we try to test them out on smaller shoots and then try to get them on bigger shoots. It helps us feel more comfortable with them. And I think, I think recommendations, we used to put out job descriptions on Indeed and Mandy and all of that stuff, but I think now we have enough on our Rolodex where it's really word of mouth. And but we do look at every email that comes into our inbox saying that, you know, I am a storyboard artist to, you know, I'm a DP to whatnot, and we actually take them pretty seriously. So if it's an email that has the right important information, we will access it. The one thing I will say that is a big challenge for us many times, it was in the beginning, it still is that a lot of the times a crew member is either talented or really great to work with. And what we're usually looking for is a combination. Someone who can really know their job, but also speak up and communicate effectively during and before a shoot. So those are the things that I'm really looking for in really any crew member.
Yeah, it's a tough thing. Finding people that are good at enough of the things. I used to play Dungeons and Dragons as a kid, and I always think about like all of the attributes that a character has in any of the role-playing games. And it's like, sort of that's how you can look at, you know, not a person, but at least an employee or a freelancer is like, they're good at these things, but not so much at that. And you're sort of trying to tailor each crew, each shoot, each chemistry to make sure that it fills in right. And so you have people that are good at certain things, weaknesses and strengths sort of combined to have a really good crew and a really good setup going forward. So I was going to say to Tori, it's like, how do you keep a list of those people? How do you guys remember who's who and how to find them?
So the people that reach out to us, we have them actually fill out a type form, a form on our website that puts in their information. They can put in, if it's a freelancer that's looking for like a day rate, we put what they would input their requested day rate that they want, a demo reel, things like that. And we actually can search that database really easily when we need freelancers. But most of our team is pretty tight knit. We hire a lot since we are in Orange County and we shoot mainly locally. We have good relationships with the schools. So I have film teachers at Chapman, Long Beach, Saddleback Junior College, USC that all would just recommend certain people, or they would tell them to apply, and then I go and ask those teachers if they're any good. And that's kind of how we hire our full-time staff.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I mean, the teachers are going to have a good sense of like who's really putting out the effort, who's going over and above what they have to do within classes. When I went to film school, I definitely knew that the course load wasn't as much as it was in other majors. I was a mechanical engineering student for a couple of years, and the course load was so much less that I knew it was incumbent upon me to go out and do projects. And really that's what we look for, is like people who, even if we didn't hire them, they're still continuing on their journey and they're still making things and being productive and like getting on set. I think that's really important. And so like, I was asking you about how you keep track of them. I mean, that's why we created Shoots.video, so that we can put everyone on there. We can have a list of them, and recommendations are super important to that ecosystem, is to be able to give people a chance to give referrals. And it's just so much easier for us to remember when it's right there on the website, and we can just sort of type in what city, what job description, and all that stuff. So it's a tough job without sort of a centralized database of that. Were you going to say?
I have a question. A lot of you guys, you're in California also, right? Is everybody here? I know you're Richard, you're in Vegas, but California has this AB5 law, which I don't know if any of you are coming up against that. But yes, that's, hiring freelancers has become an issue.
Totally.
Yeah, so I'm actually making commercials tomorrow for a woman who's running for the state senate against AB5, and she's a Democrat, so it's very interesting. I know it's very interesting, but yeah, it's just a real nightmare, and a lot of people are ignoring it. A lot of people aren't thinking about it at all. I have a great big agreement that I had freelancers sign, and it seems moot at some point now. It's like, well, why bother? But so this company had worked with a big pool of freelancers for years, and I don't want to ruin those relationships because of some bad legislation. So how's anybody else dealing with it, or do you have to? It sounds like most of you are hiring full-time.
Yeah, so just so people who aren't in California and don't understand what AB5 is, basically it's saying that like you can't, it was brought about because of gig economy type stuff especially, and because they were trying to legislate Lyft and
Uber. Mm-hmm.
And Uber, essentially, we, in my opinion, got sort of screwed in our industry because now we have to have people as employees, as temporary employees. We can't just hire them, just give them $300 and tell them to show up for the day and do the thing, and then just deal with it like 1099 like we used to. So it's a much different thing. And I would say that each company is finding a way to deal with it with their level of comfort of complying. And I think that's how a lot of things sort of happen in this industry. I know how that has gone with like the drones and being able to fly and going out there and having a license and all that stuff, because we knew that the government didn't know what they were talking about for a long time and still sort of don't. And so this feels like that. And we've been told by tax professionals, like, some of them are like, shine it on, who cares? They don't know what they're doing. And then others are like, you need to worry about that. So anyway,
thing. Go ahead, Richard wanted to say something. I'm sorry, Richard.
Well, no, Anita, it just might be helpful for people that are watching to also know the threshold when that kicks in, because there is like, you can hire somebody so many times, I believe is the way the law works, isn't it?
I think that the threshold, it's a monetary threshold, and it's pretty low. So what we've been doing is onboarding people onto payroll for a short period of time. But also the attorney that I've spoke with recently, who's an employment attorney who I actually think is quite intelligent, said it has to do with the level of risk you feel like you're going to experience from these people that you're hiring. If you have good relationships with them, they probably are not going to go to the EDD and report you for any reason. If you're paying them, people want to work, especially in this environment right now. It's difficult to get work, so most likely the level of risk is low. So
yeah, I mean, as the employers, we want to make it easy for them to come and work for us, and hopefully they want to make it easy for us to hire them. And so that's sort of the dance, Richard.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to pick up on a point that Anita made, that what we're finding out here is that right now it's difficult to hire anybody for any kind of a short-term project.
From California?
No, in Nevada, because they're all receiving unemployment, and they're receiving about $1,000 a week. And if you offer them a day's work and it's going to interfere with their unemployment, they're not going to do that.
Yeah, it's a weird time.
It's so bizarre, isn't it? It's like when people used to be on food stamps, or they would make more money, being unemployed than it's just a bad system.
Yeah, so, it is difficult right now.
Anyway, I just brought that up because I don't know how many people have to deal with it, but yes, go on.
It's quite the hassle, and it's not fun, and it's definitely all the more reason to have people you trust and have people that are like sort of like you said, a tight-knit group in your inner circle to be able to go to and know that you guys can work together to get past any of those government red tape sort of situations. Right. What online resources, websites do you guys use when you're reaching out to find new people if you can't just get it from word of mouth? Anyone?
Do you have we have the Northern California Real Directory, REEL directory, and I've used that for many years and still do, look through and see what kind of skills people have listed. And and then I get a sense of them. I'm a little bit also like Tori, who goes to the colleges, and any listings that they have of people. But the Real Directory has been a really great resource for us in Northern California.
Nice. Yeah, Daniel, where you guys explain to me sort of what you guys do at Lemon Light in terms of that.
In terms of where do we look for talent?
Yeah, finding new people in places that you haven't expanded to, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, we still use, Mandy and Staff Me Up and some of the tried and true sites, and then as well as, referrals in certain areas. And I know that even the team has some luck doing hiring with social media.
Oh, interesting.
Depending on how remote, maybe the location is, we operate all over the U.S. and then a couple other international countries. So, I would say, for anyone that is applying and looking for work, I would say, again, like Mandy and a lot of the tried and true sites, I think still do work. We're on those still. And then, yeah, just exploring, just kind of networking and any other like social media outlets that might have a page or something up dedicated to that area.
Yeah. What's something that really catches your eye about someone, say on Mandy or somewhere else? What do you, what's
to Sonia's point earlier, I think, your demo reel, depending on the role, it does depend on the role, but for a lot of people in production that do have a demo reel or something like that attached to whatever they do, I think that's always valuable to lead with, leading with a strong demo reel resume. I think in production, we have such a luxury of actually being able to show people what we can do versus simply telling them. So anyone that does have the ability to kind of show off what they can do, that always stands out first and foremost. It's kind of like the old saying, show me, don't tell me. And when they can show off their work, it really connects all the dots really quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else?
Well, I could mention some of what we've done in the past. We haven't done it for a while, but we found it particularly effective. We were very active in video groups in New York. And when we came out here, we started a Videographers Association in Las Vegas. And that brought us in all types of resources. And what it amounts to is that often you'll get a job and it requires equipment you don't have. It requires people who have an expertise that you might not really have at the level that you have in-house. And this would give like a big talent base of people that we could draw from. Plus, we were personally meeting them, so we were able to kind of cull through who we wanted to work with and who we might not be too interested in.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's just important to always be on the lookout, and it seems to me that we're trying to find any way that we can to find the diamonds in the rough out there. One question. This is a funny. Were you going to say, Dana?
Yeah, I'll just add, for anyone that's listening that is really trying to get a job or just reach out to any of these companies out there, our list overall, we use Mandy, we use Staff Me Up, we use Droner.io, Upwork, we even use Craigslist. And then, above and beyond that, reach out to the companies. We have LinkedIn these days. You can really just with a little bit of time on Google kind of start to map out where the company is, who might be working from them, who you could maybe reach out to. So, really just don't hold back. If there is any kind of one company that you are looking to reach, that you are looking to work for, reach out to them on different, whatever forms are available on their website, LinkedIn, maybe social media, and you'd be surprised just showing the initiative can really go a long way. And I'd say that those are even some of the people that we are most receptive to as well as the people that are, going kind of above and beyond to just, reach out and,
Yeah, totally. There's a weird thing too, is like, we want, when someone comes to us and says, hey, I want to be a grip, or I want to be a camera operator, or I want to do DP work for you, whatever it happens to be, it's like, make it easy on us to like you. Don't ask us to send you a thing so that you can send a thing back. Just find it. Like, don't make me do work so that I can give you work. I think that's a little vague. I know that, but like, as you're going through the process, whatever that process is, like, make it easy on the potential employer to want to like you and be like, oh, that guy didn't create any more homework for me. I hate that stuff. And that sort of happens during the actual process of being a freelancer, being employed or whatever that is. It's like, if I have to spend a lot of time giving you invoice information for you to be able to invoice me, I'm like, I don't even want to hire this guy again because he just makes it a hassle. So that's one thing directly to the people out there, like make it easy to be hired and easy to be hired again. Sonia, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I totally second that and what Daniel said as well. The other thing I would add is that when you're reaching out to us on various mediums, to make sure that you highlight your strengths right up front. So whether it is that your strength is that you've been in business, you've been on sets for 20 years, if that's your strength, or if your strength is that I'm a DP and I have my own equipment. I think for smaller companies, it really makes a big difference when if it's a really small shoot and you want to hire a DP who has a truck of equipment or has his own camera or his own lens package, whatever your strengths are, put it in the first 2 or 3 sentences. So I know you've got my attention now. Now I want to talk to you, because most likely that's enough for me to start a conversation. A good reel and 1 or 2 strengths are good to just start a conversation of any sort. So yeah, I would say, those other, just kind of be very communicative. I feel like a lot of the times, especially on-set crew, I find them to be not that clear and not that communicative. So I think it's important to be like, this is who I am. This is what I can do for you. Let me know when you have the next job. That's it. Like, I think that's what we're really looking for most of the time.
Yeah. I mean, our time is short. We want very specific things out of the people we're hiring. We're not asking them to do 100 different jobs somewhat well. We usually want them to do like 2 things really well and just be good at that. And we want them to be honest about what they're good at. I mean, that's the worst thing, is trying to hire someone and they're like, oh, I totally know that camera, or I know how to do this, or I have experience doing that. Because the thing is, when you get them on set, it's about a 10-second process before you're like, nope, that's not true. You don't know how to do that thing.
Absolutely.
Richard, do you have something to say about that?
Yeah. And because when we first started out, we would run into that. People we would talk to were very full of themselves, and they'd try to really impress you with what they could do and what they know. So it didn't take us too long to realize that, okay, if you know this, you say you know this camera, here it is, show me what you know about it. Or we'd ask them to go out on a shoot just for maybe a half hour or so with us, call it an observer or a free pair of hands or whatever. And we'd let them get on the camera while we're there to make sure nothing could go wrong. And we'd let them show us what they need. And in the same direction, we would hire people that we'd have them live switching, maybe doing something on Wirecast or something like that. Mm-hmm. And we'd bring them in the studio and we'd have them show us what they can do. And we'd train them. If they had some skill sets, but not enough, we'd train them. And if they weren't willing to do that on their dime, then we really lost interest in them pretty quickly.
Yeah, 100%. I've experienced very similar things to that. Tori, what about getting people out there and they can't quite put up what they say they can put up? Have you dealt with that very much at all?
We're pretty careful, and I mean, I went to USC film school for cinematography, so I normally vet a lot of the people. I know the technology stuff and kind of like what you guys were saying, the questions to ask. But I would say we rarely will bring on like a DP onto a big project for the first time and just hope that it works out, right? Even if they are a seasoned DP, unless we're hiring through like an agency, which we have done for some large projects, we would normally have them on either a smaller shoot or being first AC, like a director might be shadowing, even just to see their work ethic and like how presentable they are. We don't want to risk our company's reputation on just giving someone a shot, to lead a project immediately.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say, unless you're big time, unless you're a Hollywood name, unless I can go to the theater and see your name in the credits often, then you need to be able to step down and just like get to know people on the level that shoot requires for that thing. And so, I do DP most of the time. I do directing some of the time, but I'm certainly cool to go out there as a first AC or work as a gaffer, maybe even as a grip for a day or two to make friends with the people and see what they're all about and see even if I want to work with them too. I mean, I think it's important to be able to step outside of your normal role if you're looking to make a new relationship.
Yeah, I think kind of going back to what someone else said, like having also just a culture fit. Our culture at Sparkhouse is to be a little bit more run and gun, being really careful with our clients' budgets. We're not looking to, spend $20,000 on craft service during the shoot or something like that, like some of the agencies want to do. And so, I would almost say if we had a DP or a director that wasn't willing to come in and kind of get their hands dirty, they probably wouldn't be a good fit with our group, even if they were the most talented person for the job.
What Tori's talking about regarding culture, I think is really important. It seems like almost every job has its own culture based on who the client is. And I know that we often bring in production managers and DPs based on, who is this client and how is the interface going to be with this DP? Is this a DP who is going to get along with them? So we kind of look at that. And I think what Sonia said too, being able to talk, communicate clearly, we look for that too. I have a really funny story to tell quickly though, which is that the person who is now my operations manager here at Beyond Picks came in because everybody else was out of town one time 4 years ago. I was looking for a production assistant and I was calling around. Finally, somebody said, well, there's this new guy in town and blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, it's a guy. I need somebody to get all the crafty stuff. I need craft services. Men don't like to go to the store and do this. He's probably going to think, oh, no, I just want to work with the technology. This guy said, oh, yeah, I can go to Whole Foods and get everything organic. And I was like, you can? And then he called me that day. He goes, okay, here's what I have, and I'll get some more stuff. And it turns out he knew cameras. He knew lighting. He's an IT guy. He had all these other skills.
Yeah.
But I loved him because he went to the store for me. It was just one of those things. But yeah, every job that we hire for feels like you have to have personalities that are going to mesh.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it doesn't mean it's beneath you to help out on craft services for the day if that's your role on that set. And I think that's David Fincher used to always talk about how, or other people would say about David Fincher, he knew more or as much about every role on set that they did because he'd done a lot of those things. And I think that's important to being good on set in general. It's just having an idea of what other people go through. And having been a PA is important to know what they have to put up with. Sort of working in the service industry, they always talk about that, if you've been a waiter or waitress or whatever, you have a little more respect for what they go through. Someone had a question, as far as presentability, what red flags are you really looking for? Or are they more subtle things? And Richard was saying that, coming dressed in standard tech black clothes is important. And especially for his industry, it's like wearing show blacks is what they're going to be doing most of the time. So not having a black shirt is sort of a red flag. As you were saying, Anita.
Oh, just, I've had a couple guys show up just looking really sloppy. And, there are times like if you're out, like literally outside in the field, you can get away with that. But you can't, I don't think it's a good idea in a corporate world. I'm actually going to buy some clothes here, get some T-shirts and sweatshirts and, kind of uniform up here at Beyond Picks, maybe for the holidays. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I kind of, I want everybody to look really good and presentable to clients. It's part of what we need to do, so.
Yeah, it's important too. There's sort of like a lower threshold and an upper threshold. And I want people to look presentable, but I also don't want their shoes to be too pretty. Because then, I'm like, well, you're probably not even going to walk over there and do the thing in the dirt that I need you to do right now, which is actually like important to me. So there's that. We had a PA on set up in San Francisco one time. And no, this is Vegas, actually, I think. anyway, she had a big phone. These are when the first like phablets came out, and this really big phone tablet looking thing. And she literally had nowhere to put it. She didn't have a purse. She didn't have anything else. It was like that. She had to have her phone in one hand, and she was a PA. And I'm like, you're a one-handed PA. Like, you have no other ability except to use one hand to hold a phone and one hand to do everything else. Like, you're useless to me. I don't know what to tell you. And that was like weird to her. I didn't say that, obviously, but it was like, cool, I'm not gonna hire you again. And that seems like a fairly fixable situation.
Yeah, I think I would add to that I think being presentable just doesn't mean wearing the right clothes. I think it's a very basic requirement that you have to wear comfortable clothes, but it's also really important for PAs, crew members, almost anyone on set but the director to make themselves unknown. I think it's really important for people to do their jobs without talking loudly. I think basic things like that sometimes can be a form of presenting yourself and your attitude to your work. And I think that stands out. That's what makes people fit into situations, because making yourself unknown as a crew member is kind of an achievement on set. And if sometimes, you're getting in actors' ways or you're getting in the DP's way, then that's no good, because that's when, time is what we're trying to get those 10-hour, 12-hour days in, right? So I think I think if you have to ask the question, what should I wear on a set? Maybe start lower up, because maybe you need to see a lot of what other people are wearing, what you need to be comfortable with. Like, do you want to wear a fanny pack to put that phone in or whatever? I think these are the things that if you need to start explaining to them, then maybe they need to train under a few more people before they can get to a position that's a slightly higher up, I would say.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point. I mean, really profound is when I'm on set as a DP or whatever, oftentimes I'm like, there's 20 people talking. There's other people having conversations or trying to do their job. It's like, we don't need any extra stuff happening, because we do need to focus on the very specific things and conversations that people have to have. And so I often, there's a number of departments on set where I like them best when they're sort of quiet and sort of keep to themselves and just do their thing, because that they're working when you look over and they're like into it and not having to tell everyone what they're doing. That's a great thing oftentimes.
Yeah, I would second that. I think set etiquette is huge, and something I think is largely overlooked that I think just comes with years of experience being on set, understanding the different roles, knowing, how to listen to what's going on without saying anything, kind of to her point as well. I just know in my experience, when I've been fortunate enough to work on really high caliber sets, seemingly the bigger the budget, the quieter the set. Quite literally, I remember I was on one, you could hear a pin drop. I mean, it was the most well-oiled orchestra of people working together, pretty much listening to the director. And it was an experience, because there's so many variations of that. And I think, we can become blind to it, or it's just not talked about enough. So yeah, I think set etiquette is huge. So it's something to really look at in terms of how you present yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's important too, I think, to sort of be aware enough of what's happening on set to be able to know that, okay, this one's a little bit different than the last one I was on, or this type of job, I'm going to have to be more quiet and just keep this stuff to myself, or I'm going to have to like speak up a little bit more because maybe there's less people on set to be able to handle the role, and I'm sort of taking a couple roles. I think just being present is really key, and more than it's ever been, especially with phones and everything else. Is like, I don't want to see you on your phone, and it's because you are going to miss out on stuff that you don't even realize you're missing out on.
Yeah, being present. Exactly. I think that's the key. You said it there.
Yeah, being present and really sensing what the energy is on a specific set, on a specific crew. You just really have a feeling of that. I actually have a question also about what people are doing regarding COVID, because here in Northern California, everybody's very, very sensitive about social distancing and, really staying safe, doing the kinds of, sanitizing and that kind of thing and wearing masks, not having too many people on a set at one time. I actually installed UVC lights in both my HVAC systems up in the broadcast studio.
Oh, neat.
Also down on our stage. So people can feel maybe a little more protected. But is anybody else running into that? I mean, we're having some clients wanting to just, not come in and maybe just do something from their home. Can you deliver a package to our house or whatever, like that? Are other people running into that fear?
Well, we're running into that, and
Yeah.
I can intertwine that with some of the other things that people have said. We tend to do a lot of interaction with the clients on our crews just because of the nature of the work that we do. So we can't send somebody out in a grungy t-shirt because they're not going to get the respect that really is required for them to be able to do the job, to interact with the client. And yes, we have had people like that, and we'll send a very limited crew. They'll be masked. And we've even suggested to some of these people, we'll come with a PTZ camera and we'll control it from a different room if you want.
That's what we have on our stage. We have 3 PTZ cameras, and we're able to control them from a control room and have just one person in that control room. So that's been helpful.
Mm-hmm.
PTZ standing for pan, tilt, zoom. It's a remote operated camera.
Remote camera.
Small. Yeah. It just does that sort of thing. Those are more ubiquitous than ever in live production stuff. Yeah. How much, going back a little bit, how much turnover do you guys have? Maybe in employees or in crew members?
I mean, I guess it's I can answer that with an example. I have a DP that I worked with 15 years ago on a feature film, and I'm still working with him on commercials and everything, whatnot. I have so many crew members on multiple sets that I work with once and never work with again because of certain reasons that some of which we've already discussed. So I think it's really hard to say, but there is so much room for someone to make themselves indispensable in the roles by surely the things that we just discussed in terms of being available, being effective in terms of communication. If you have to, in our recent shoot, we shot something for Jameson 2 weeks ago, and we did the whole, socially, we had a lot of compliance that we followed. But one of our PAs who was really, we were relying on for a lot of things because it was such a small crew given COVID. She got sick the morning off.
Oh, no.
And she actually not only wrote us a thorough email about how she's feeling some temperature, she doesn't feel comfortable coming in, but here is a replacement who has been updated with everything she needs to do. And I think just having someone like that, someone who not only told me what the problem is, but went ahead and fixed it for me to the extent that she could, makes her the best PA I've worked with. And I'm going to make sure I work with her again. And I think just being really, I don't know how to say this, but just being really aware of how do I make myself indispensable and wanted is relatively easier to do when you're doing 1-day shoots or 2-day shoots, So I feel like there are these kind of qualities that really make for a long-term relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of those things that maybe is unwritten, but we expect. I mean, a lot of ways to the people out there is if you are going to call us the morning of, if you're sick, that's maybe one thing, whatever. But if you're going to call us the night before, the morning of, anything like that, you better have a replacement ready. Yeah. Because if you called into a normal job, if you were a bartender or whatever, and you called up the boss and said, hey, sorry, later, that's not good. They're not going to like you. And this is just the same as a normal job. We want you to don't come with problems, come with answers, come with solutions. And that's definitely one of those situations. You need to come to that phone call with a solution, hopefully. And a lot of that too is just making friends on set and offset, maybe, but having other people in your social group that also can contribute to a set. I mean, I think that's important because a lot of times we're, calling up someone and saying hey, I need a DP for this or whatever. Do you have any other guys that can come along with you? People that can also do the other jobs underneath you. And that's important too, making a crew. Richard, you had something?
Well, no, I think that everybody's covered it pretty well. I just maybe wanted to clarify that where most of these people on this panel are in California and you're in kind of a different environment, out here it's mostly shows. So you're with people that are out here for a trade show. A lot of them are in suits. You're right in the middle of them. And it goes back to just, you've got to blend in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally.
So you were asking about turnover, how often. I'm like Sonia. There are people I've worked with for years and years and years, and it's like, I think you find this in all relationships that when you start to feel comfortable with someone, like your friends, for example, or a spouse or something, you stay with them. And so, like, for example, we were hiring a DP for something this next week, and I know exactly how he works. I know what he's going to want to do, and it feels really comfortable. And so when somebody has shown that they have skills like Sonia was talking about, but also you learn a rhythm with them. There's not a lot of turnover then. But then there's, of course, people who I've hired, they claim that they, like you were talking earlier, do people make claims about their skill set and they can't really deliver? I've had some of that as well, and just can't, have them back again. I try to communicate with them and tell them why. It's like, you know what, you were great with this, but you really needed to have told me about this when it was going wrong instead of letting it go on and on. We can call cut at any time and fix something. But so it's because we're a small company, I think that there's a lot of longevity with a lot of our freelancers and a lot of full-time people as well.
Yeah, it's great. And with those those people that you have long relationships with, if the people make relationships with them, the other people looking to get hired, the freelancers and everything, then, there's a few ways to getting to the people on the panel here to actually be hired. And one of those is getting to the people that they are hiring. So that's important. A lot of those people are probably going to class out. So if you have a DP that you've been hiring for 15 years, I think all of us have sort of talked about that in one way or another. If they have gaffers or grips or ACs or whatever below them, they're probably sort of testing out of that as well. They're becoming DPs in their own right, and they need more people underneath them. And so that's how to get there. There's a question, like finding a good fit is a very time consuming process. Can you share an example of how you test for that? You want to have an answer for that? How to establish what a good fit is?
For us, we're hiring all the time, and we have hundreds of freelancers that we kind of look through. So, I think is the question just, are you trying to find the right fit? Or
no. Like how do you gauge that with someone who's trying to get in with you guys?
Yeah, I think, it's really a commitment to just taking the time to figure out kind of, again, who this individual is, what their skill set is, what their experience is. And I know this has come up a few times since we've been talking in terms of people maybe claiming that they can do something that they can't do. So, I think, there's that saying in the industry, fake it till you make it. But, you want to really have respect for your role, the role you're applying for, what's being asked of you, and just be honest with yourself. I think one thing that sometimes people often overlook on set and with crews coming together is that your one role could be catastrophic to dismantling the rest of the production if you don't show up, if you really don't know how to operate that camera, if you really aren't proficient in sound recording. So yeah, fake it till you make it. But, I think you need to be honest with yourself, and that will allow you to, kind of be a good fit within that crew, because you're being honest with yourself, and you're being honest with what they're required, what they're looking for from you. So just have those hard conversations, really, to kind of really get to the bottom of what's being asked of both parties. Don't leave anything to assumption, and, hopefully just taking the time to go through it on a little more granular level, you can, find out if it's a good fit and if you guys are really going to be able to work together or not.
Yeah, totally. Sorry. Real quick. I try to explain to people the first job or something. If you're on a 10-hour shoot, let's say it's a big commercial, it's a medium-sized commercial, it's a $60,000 shoot. You're looking at 600 minutes. So 60,000, 600 minutes. You take one extra minute, 5 extra 10 minutes because you said you knew how to do something you didn't. That's literal thousands of dollars that are being spent because we're waiting on you to do your job. And so that it is a big responsibility. Anita?
No, I was just nodding at you because I agreed with what you said. Yeah, it's you know, it's a really rarefied industry that we're in, guys. It's different than a lot of other things, and people just need to realize how, as you say, every minute costs something. It's not like, working on an assembly line or, something that you have a long time to work on, a bigger project that, building a bridge or something, but they tell you time is money also. So, but I think Sonia had something to say, didn't you?
Yeah. I was just going to add to that. I think if you're a good fit, also really depends on what role you're applying for. Every role has pretty unique kind of positions. If you are an editor, it's about delivery. It's about kind of how you're communicating, especially in this environment offline. If you're a grip or a gaffer, how are you working with the G&E team? How are you working with the DP? Like, that's important, almost more important than anything else. If you are a sound person, how quiet you are in terms of like getting your sound and getting yourself, out of there. If you're a PA, are you getting everything done? Are you in communication with the producer or director or whoever, is in charge of you? So it really depends on, like, again, back to being like what your role is and how you are, how good you are at being present there and also communicating what is needed. So I think it really does come from experience on seeing some big sets and seeing what people have to say. Like really the best people I've worked with are people who have learned from what's going on without really telling me that they've learned this and that's why they're going to do this, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It is funny, it's a little bit of profiling or whatever you want to call it, but sometimes you meet with someone and you're like, well, I need this role. And they're like, well, I'm that. And you look at them and you're like, I don't think you are. You're not. Richard?
Well, out here, what we need more than specialists are generalists. If somebody's going to be operating a camera, they sure as heck better know what an audio mixer does and how to work with one. And the big thing that we look for is that rather than feeling that just showing up and doing a very limited role is enough, we want them to be concerned with the success of the project and to do whatever they can to be certain that that project is going to work. And I'll give you a typical example. We'll go to a show and the AV person that's hired to handle the show, not with us, but for the show, suddenly doesn't know what he's doing or he can't resolve a problem. With us, we have people that know how to help that audio technician that's with the show. So what our attitude is, we want and we'll do anything to make the project a success for our client. And if we get people that just want to show up and they feel that's good enough, well, that's really not a good fit for us. And, I know we may be different than some of what we're talking about here, but I'm putting it in my perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. It's important. Most of the roles on set, I typically want someone to be a geek about that thing. Like, I want them to go home at night and know stuff that I don't and stay a little bit current with it and be able to come and be like, oh, did you try this thing that I read about 3 weeks ago on a forum? Like, that can come crucial at times.
Yeah.
And you can tell when you're like, oh, you don't really give a damn about this job. You're just trying to get paid and be here and you like movies and whatever. So, I mean, and that goes, like, if this is what you're doing for your life, if this is important to you, then like geek out about it, learn about it, have way more knowledge than you think will come into play on set that day, because eventually it will. And us, I think if I could speak for all of us, it's like, we noticed that. Like, when you have an MVP moment and you do something that that really saves the day or really was just like perfect anticipation wise in that moment, like, we remember that stuff and we will bring you back for roles that are even a little bit different than that was. I think it's important. Cool. We are at 5:00. Any parting statements? What does anyone else who, I don't know. We've talked about a lot of different things of how to get jobs. We've said going to your website, talking to you guys specifically, what to dress like, what to present yourself like, how to be on set, and all that. Any parting stuff, Tori? You haven't talked in a bit. What do you got to say, man?
I think, like I said, it kind of goes, at least for us, and I've told multiple people that we no longer work with that, talent is one thing, but, we all love making videos. And so we want to work with people that makes that more fun. So I've told almost every level, like, even if you're good, if we don't enjoy working with you, you're not going to come back on set. And so, yeah, the more, I guess, enjoyable you can make the set that you're on, I think you're going to stand out. Even if you're just a PA that's starting, if everyone remembers you and loves that, they're going to give you opportunities. We actually just hired full-time a PA that came out on 2 shoots and just was above and beyond. And we're like, this guy can rock it, right? And he has potential to be a producer. So we basically brought him in as a junior producer to start running some of those shows. And he wasn't even asking for a job. Like, we reached out to him and said, wow, hey, we have this need, and we remembered how awesome you were on this set. Would you be interested in coming out? So yeah, definitely just kind of that, like, above and beyond, and make sure everyone likes you.
Yeah. We didn't talk about attitude much. That's,
attitude is huge. Attitude is absolutely huge. And we actually have a client coming back on Monday down to our stage who changed the date of their shoot so that they could work with our PA and stage manager because they liked him so much.
Wow.
He's so enthusiastic. And, I think one other thing I would add to all of this, though, is being willing to be on a team. Think about the people around you. Have each other's backs. Make sure you have the backs of the people around you. Somebody needs something that maybe isn't in your job description, right, but you needs to be done. Help them out. Go take care of it. It's been really nice to see people going above and beyond what they think they're supposed to be doing in order to help the whole project succeed for the client, by helping their fellow teammates. So I think that's a really big thing too.
Yeah, absolutely. To speak to what Tori was saying, it's like, I think most of us at one point or another wanted to make fun movies with our friends and wanted to have a good time doing it. Mm-hmm. And we still want to do that just because we own a company, just because it's a big shoot, it's a whatever. Like, that's still a part of what we want out of this job. At least I do.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I think a lot of the basics just apply across the board. Everything that everyone said here, Richard just mentioning, just being on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're early, you're on time. So many of these fundamental things that I think are taken for granted really can collectively make the difference. I remember working with this one DP who had an agent and only worked on huge stuff, and everything was super impressive. And you had to only talk to the agent to talk about rates and everything like that. And this is when we worked with him, he was the most hardworking guy, I've ever met. Every day he showed up 20 minutes, early to set with his coffee, wide-eyed, ready to go. And he, had quote unquote made it and had the agents fighting for him and could kind of be in that position to do whatever. And that's, I think, what sometimes people think. But I think that you find that, all of the basics are synonymous with, some of the people that are the most successful in this industry, and that there isn't really any one thing that's above them. And you find out that those basics are really, instrumental in their success ultimately.
Totally. LeBron still works on his dribbling. I mean, he's, that's what it comes down to.
I'd one of the things that we didn't really touch upon is, again, like, that I would love to talk about, or like have people think about, is like, there's a lot of communication that happens around rates, especially when you're working with new people. So I think it's important that if you actually think you're worth a certain amount that might have not been offered to you or might have not been on that particular project, it's important to say it, and it's important to say it professionally. I feel like a lot of the times people don't think long term, and projects are different. There are budgets that are done in 10,000. There are videos we've all shot, and that's like
10 times higher than that. So it's really important to be very professional when you're dealing with a professional agency or a production company, so that you can ask them for a higher rate, but you can also understand if it's a different type of project and back out on it more professionally, as opposed to, I've seen people just be outright rude about, that's not my rate, sorry. And that's not an email you should send to any producer ever, because they're not going to hire you when they do have a better rate. So it's things like that I think, again, it goes back to attitude and communication, but those would be the two things that I'm looking for in, when working with people.
Good. Yes, we are sort of over our time. So unless Richard, you wanted to chime in, I think we got a lot. Okay, so this has been a Crew Talk with Shoots.video. To Daniel, Sonia, Richard, Anita, and Tori. Thank you so much for being on the call today. I think we got a lot of great information about, what it is to get hired and why you get hired and why you stay on and why you get more jobs and what we're really looking for and how we find you, importantly. And Shoots.video sponsors that, and that's our site to enable that to happen in a lot of great ways with referrals and everything else. So I very much appreciate it.
Thanks, Justin. Thanks, guys. It was really nice to meet all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
You might be looking at Shoots.video and thinking, so how does this all work? Is this about A, setting up the whole crew for me, B, just giving me options and having me handle it, or C, something in between? Well, it's D, all of the above. To put it simply, we're here to help you in any way that we can to get the crew and talent you need for your next production. We believe that every level of video production can benefit from a well-maintained list of qualified crew members for every position. This goes for pre-pro, on-set, and for post. Every project is different, so if you need a producer to help manage the decision-making process, then we can totally do that. If you're already a producer and want to build your own crew from scratch, then go for it. We're here to make your next production a success. And if you are crew or talent looking for producers that want you, then you've come to the right place. Sign up now, and also leave a referral for any solid people that you know that are already on here. Thank you for considering Shoots.video, and happy shooting!